hello everyone. Welcome back to our interviews with European Livestock Voice. Today we are going to speak with another member of the ELV, and is Gustavo González-Quijano, and is the Secretary General of COTANCE. COTANCE is one of the partners, as I said, of the European Livestock Voice, and is the Confederation of National Association of Tanners and Dressers of the European Community. So basically, is the representative body of the European leather industry, and we are going to deepen this subject, because leather is a very important byproduct of meat, and a very important product in Europe in general. As Italian, I know pretty much about that. I'm from Milan, so leather was very present in my life in general. And so welcome, Gustavo. Please introduce yourself properly and tell us what COTANCE is.
Yes, well, thank you very much, Andrea. I am, as you said, Gustavo González-Quijano. I'm the Secretary General of this organization, which is a very long name, Confederation of National Associations. It's because it's an old body. COTANCE is already on the Brussels scene for over 50 years. We celebrated in 2019 our 50th anniversary, so it is an old lady, COTANCE, and what it is an umbrella organization. It brings together all the national associations of tanners and dressers of the European community, and today also beyond the European Union, because we have also with us the UK Leather Federation, which is our British member, and even the Brexit has not changed anything in that, because we are very much united in our organization in Europe. COTANCE is also the social partner at the European level with the trade unions. So we are the employer side, of course, and we deal in a technical committee, in a social dialogue committee, all the social affairs of the industry. And I have the honor also to chair the CEN-TC 289, which is the standardization committee of the leather industry. So that's, in a nutshell, what COTANCE is.
Okay, it's a lot, let's say. It's not only the name, very long. So probably that's the reason why the name is so long. So I'm going to ask you directly one thing, because I mean, coming from outside, before getting in touch with this project, I didn't really get into the topic. So I've heard a lot about that, because I was joking, but it's true. Coming from Milan, I heard a lot about this sector, but I never had the chance to see that from inside. And watching it from outside, the image is often the one of an impactful sector, let's say. And as far as I understood, it's not really like that nowadays. So can you tell us how is the tanning industry changed over these last years or decades in Europe?
Yes, you're right. It's unfortunately the leather industry and the tanning sector has a very bad image still, and yet, because if you go on internet, if you Google leather, or if you Google tanneries, you find you always fall on very nasty images of tanneries that exist in faraway countries, and that are working in conditions that are not acceptable, of course, and that is people think that this is what they may have in the neighborhood, and that is really not the case, because in Europe the leather industry in Europe, and not only in Europe, there are also in some other countries, but we are talking about Europe here. The leather industry has changed. It has nothing to do with these old classic craft shops that existed in the past. That is our heritage, that we come from there, but today tanneries are modern installations that have a working permit, that employ only REACH-agreed chemicals. So we are very much controlled, and we control ourselves very much the process in order to have to be at the forefront of the industry in environmental and social aspects.
Okay, so once again, it's not new to me. They use images from some other continent to attack a European sector. It doesn't sound new to me when it's when it comes to livestock, and it's pretty sad to hear about that. But again, I'm very glad to speak about that with you to debunk some myth. And so you spoke about the environmental impact, but you mentioned also about workers. So it's not only about the environment. I mean, this sector has changed also about sustainability in general. So what's the value of tanning when it comes to sustainability in general? So environmental, of course, but also social, cultural, economic. So how is that today?
Well, to start with, I would say that leather is intrinsically a sustainable product because the tanners, what they do is they take a residue of the meat sector and transform it into a durable and long-lasting material that is precisely what we need for the circular economy. So instead of having fast fashion dominated economy, what we need is to have products that have a longer life cycle, and that is precisely what leather can bring. It's not only European tanners don't only produce the most beautiful leathers that you can find on the market, but also a material that has a very long life cycle. You can even, I have leather goods that come from my grandfathers that I keep with, I cherish very much, and I don't want to dismiss because they remind me not only of beautiful things, but they are also very useful. They still work. I have shoes from my father, and I have leather goods from my grandfather. So it's you can see it's a very long-lasting product.
Well, I can confirm
well,
that I have quite some old leather jacket. In
no,
fact,
what I want. Yes. No, the part of the sustainability is because on one hand we work with a renewable raw material. We take over a residue, as I said, a residue of the meat sector. The hide, this is the dermal envelope of the animal that does not serve for the food sector and is transformed into something that is that goes into another ecosystem, into the textile ecosystem, which where it finds its use. But that's the start. But also all the byproducts, all the residues of the tanning sector can be recovered and repurposed for other activities. So we are really trying to close the loop of the leather and provide to the economy, to the society, a sector that is doing the right thing and finding a solution to the circularity in the sector. That is our ambition.
Well, that's very important nowadays. I hear a lot about circular economy, so it's good to have some concrete examples of circular economy. And by the way, if there is some delays, I'm sorry, because it's saying that there is not a very good connection. So I hope that this chat can go on smoothly. However, you were speaking about this fast fashion, and I was telling you, I can confirm you that I have leather jackets and clothing really old. So I was thinking that I have it in my wardrobe as well, and that made me remember of what happened in Portugal earlier this year. So the Portuguese authorities banned the term vegan leather. So what you think about that, and which other countries in the EU are legally protecting leather, if there is any, and what is vegan leather, by the way? Because I heard a lot about that also in the automotive sector, but it's not really clear what this product is. So please tell us.
Yes, well, we're very happy about this development in Portugal, because Portugal comes into a group of 5 other countries in the European Union which have a leather authenticity regulation, and that is I can list the countries. It's France, Italy, Spain, Belgium, and now also Portugal. There are also some other countries that have a definition for leather in, I think it's in the Baltic countries and also in Austria, but it is not really a leather authenticity regulation. We are happy because that is helping us to dismiss some abusive utilization of the term leather. Vegan leather, what is it? It's above all, it's an oxymoron. It's a contradiction in terms. So either it is leather and then it cannot be vegan, or it is vegan and then it cannot be vegan. So the problem is that what generally these materials are, it is a plastic-based composite material. And of course, saying that, having that as a name is probably not very commercial or not very appealing. And that is why they hang on to a term that has been used and developed in the leather industry, which remains still very appealing and very interesting to have. And that is a pity, because it destroys the conception what the people have in about leather, and it provides confusion into the market, and that is really a very bad thing. And that's why we are fighting for having not only a definition and regulations at national level, but also at European level, where we need to have an internal market that works with the same definition.
Well, it reminds me a bit the situation of the meat producers with the so-called meat sounding and the other contradiction in terms like veggie burgers and stuff like that, which is creating confusion and can actually be quite misleading. And I find funny that, I mean, I'm coming from the environmentalist world, and I find funny somehow to hear about people who say they care about the environment and they choose plastic and synthetic materials, and they refuse byproducts implementing circular economy. But anyway, that's the world nowadays.
It's really a pity, because the funny thing is, well, it's really not very funny, is that we see that about 40% at global level, 40% of all hides and skins that are produced every year are not finding their way into tanneries, are actually getting landfilled. That is really a pity, because that does not speak well about the industry. And this happens because of this vegan or non-leather alternatives that are getting into the marketing field. So it's really a pity that we miss out this amount of raw materials. And it needs to be understood that these hides and skins, when they putrefy, they generate greenhouse gases. And these greenhouse gases, if we would not have the tanning industry, these greenhouse gases would emit these hides and skins would emit greenhouse gases that are equivalent for 1 million passenger cars a year. So it is really, by tanning this industry, we capture durably the CO2 into the material, and we produce a very nice product for the market. And well, this million passenger cars, that the emissions of 1 million passenger cars have to be added also to the emissions that would produce the production of alternative materials that are going to substitute the leather. So the tanning industry is having, if it is developed in an environmentally sound way, is providing a service to society. That's very important to understand.
I do agree. And now, speaking again about environment, there was in September 2022, so 13th of September, a statement on the European Parliament vote on the exclusion of leather in the EU proposed legislation to curb deforestation. Can you tell us something about that, please? And can you tell us if leather can be really considered a driver of deforestation?
Well, thank you very much for this question. Well, September 13 this year was a very sad day because actually the amendment that was actually asking that leather is taken out of the deforestation proposal of the European Commission was defeated in the Parliament, but by a very small difference, because it's 277 votes that were asking for the exclusion and 338 votes that were asking for keeping it in. So the difference is about 60 votes, and 60 votes is less than 10% of the total number of members of European Parliament. That means that Europe is divided on such a topic. Europe is actually divided. And the funny thing is that these 338 members of the European Parliament that have voted against the exclusion of leather in the deforestation proposal of the European Commission don't have really a basis on which to really provide this, say no to the exclusion, because the impact assessment of the European Commission, of the European proposal for a deforestation-free supply chains has not looked into leather, has only looked into cattle and the effect of cattle in deforestation in some certain countries, but not about leather. And that is really a very bad legislative procedure. The better regulation principles of the European Commission would exclude that this could happen. But here we are. No, it's really a sad day for us because leather cannot be considered a driver of deforestation. Leather, there are two econometric studies that have been done, one for the US sector and another one for Brazil, that established that the demand for leather does not drive livestock production. So the value of the hides and skins are so small compared to the meat that they cannot be considered as a driver of livestock production, nor a driver of livestock slaughter. So if they are not a driver of livestock production, how can leather be a driver of deforestation? That is the main thing that we don't understand, how 338 members of the European Parliament have not understood that.
Well, probably because they don't know about this topic at all, and that's what I hope we can communicate through these videos and these interviews, because we can already question if deforestation is really so much linked to livestock in general. So, and as you said, you have leather only if you produce meat and other products. So you don't raise animals only for leather. So it's quite yeah, it's something to clarify pretty soon, I hope. Also because as you were saying, European tanning industry is quite important still, and despite all these attacks is still very successful worldwide for sure. But now again, about sustainability in general, it's about jobs, it's about traditions, know-how. So what can the European tanning industry do to continue being successful worldwide? And with all these attacks and these eventually wrong legislations, what are we risking to lose if this industry cannot be successful anymore?
Well, that the loss for the European society and the European economy would be very important. Leather is not only a material that is producing, tanneries in Europe are not only producing a very nice and beautiful and long-lasting material, but they have been creating also culture. The terminology that has been developed in the leather industry is fantastic. You have terms like Cordovan, mouton plongé, cavallino, suede, tafilete. I could nubuk. You have a number of terms that have been developed precisely to identify and distinguish the different products that are produced in the leather industry. That's culture. That's a cultural activity. So we would not only lose the possibility to clean Europe from putrefying residue of the meat sector, but we would also lose the possibility to develop the science behind the tanning industry. We would lose also the possibility to continue creating culture in a country. We would also lose the possibility to create beauty, because actually the leathers that you can find in the rest of the world are actually very standard. I would say leathers that you find that are very heavily coated and that have not a individuality that you find in European leather. So it would be a very sad thing. And what can we do in order to continue our work here is to resist very much, resist the attacks, and to try to defend ourselves by promoting the industry and explaining the industry to the people, so that they understand what we are doing and they like what we are doing. So that's what we have to do.
So I hope that with this short interview we can contribute to help you in that, and so my best wishes. We'll be back soon to you, and we will speak about leather and the tanning industry again. And for the time being, I thank you very much, and I hope to see you soon again.
Thank you very much, Adrian.
Bye.
Bye-bye.